Welcome to the Four Rooms podcast, where we explore the four rooms of entrepreneurship: health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each episode is dedicated to opening new doors and uncovering insights that empower you to design your entrepreneurial journey to be both lucrative and fulfilling. And now, your hosts, Amber Spears and Brett Kaufman.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Four Rooms podcast. I am your host, Brett Kaufman, and I'm joined today with Rich Goldstein. Rich, what's going on today? How are you?
Doing well. Thanks so much.
Of course. One of the things, because we're going to dive into a lot today, especially around IP, especially about getting yourself around IP for exits in that stage of your business. But one of the things that I love about already connecting with you is that I already saw you networking. That's how I met you before even meeting you. And then we were in Vegas at Affiliate Summit West, and I was having I guess you could call it kind of dinner at one of the, I think it was a high level event with Molly Mahoney. And then all of a sudden you walk in dressed so nice. Molly raved about you and was like, this is the most networked man out there. He knows exactly how to do it. So I just love talking to someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, it was funny that you made the connection when we spoke again that we did meet in that moment. I just basically came in and came out. I came in, I said hi to Molly, I was introduced to you, I took a selfie with Molly, and then I moved on to another event that I was supposed to be at. So it was a brief moment, and I'm glad I left the impression that I did.
Absolutely. And you throw networking parties, is this correct?
I do. Actually, I just came back from Las Vegas. I had two big events during Prosper Show, which is a big e-commerce Amazon event. I throw them at the MGM, at MGM Skyloft, which is their high-end property, essentially. And I have this massive party. Hang on 1 second here. Just had something.
No worries.
Just drink some water here.
Take your time.
I'm like fighting off a cold, and it's something kind of boiled up in there. And,
sorry to hear that. Every time I'm in Vegas, I get sick afterwards. So if
no, exactly. Hopefully it's valuable though. Hopefully that you get enough value that it makes it worth getting sick.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good trade-off.
All right. So I'll dive back into that answer again. So actually, I just came back from Vegas. I was at Prosper Show, which is a big e-commerce Amazon event. And I throw a huge event at MGM Skyloft. And I've done so many parties that I have a really great relationship, and they allow me to have just a phenomenal party that you just can't throw anywhere in Vegas. And normally you can't have a DJ there because sound travels through the building. But I mean, I had DJs. I actually had a lot of my friends DJing in one of the parties, and then I had a celebrity DJ at the other party. And overall, we had a few hundred people, and it kind of creates the space for me within the Amazon world where people know of me because of my parties. And so I'll be at another event during the year, and I'll be introduced to someone, and I'll say, well, nice to meet you. And they'll say, no, I was at your party last year. It was amazing. And so it's like, maybe my reputation doesn't precede me, but my parties precede me.
Not a bad thing to be known for.
Yeah. And so it's really great. I enjoy doing it. And my other perspective on that too is that I'm a connector.
Mm-hmm.
I love connecting people. I love bringing people together. And one of the things I realized is that if you're a connector, you can connect people one-on-one over and over again, and that takes a certain amount of work, right?
Sure.
It's kind of like the equivalent of trading time for money. It's like your own personal effort. But how do you scale connecting? By throwing a party.
Yep.
You throw a party and you bring a lot of the people that you really enjoy together, and you get them to talk with each other. And so that's how you scale connecting. Kind of like you're getting out of trading time for money, getting out of doing one-on-one connecting is throwing parties.
I love that. I do something different. I like to throw themed birthday parties. So after we met in March, I had my 31st Harry Potter themed birthday party. My 30th was the Alice in Wonderland. Year before is 1920s Murder Mystery. But it was just that notion of seeing my friends become friends with each other and then like seeing them hang out and like doing stuff like gives me such joy because you're the catalyst of them building relationships. So it's such a feel good moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about the Harry Potter event and wondering, like, what were they doing spells? Were they levitating things off the table?
We had
Oh,
the
there you
one.
go.
We were ready. So we did so everyone came in and they had a welcome shot that was based upon the house that they were in. So they had all the houses. So you took that. And then we did potion making class where we made liquid luck. And so I had a friend who was a bartender. And so we basically set up everything on a table. So pre-portion. And then they would like dump it in. And then we got them dry ice at the end of it, which is technically not liquid luck, but like it looks so cool. And so
Mhm.
everyone was walking around with their drinks with dry ice coming around. And then we did a Harry Potter themed murder mystery. And I guess for legal reasons, they couldn't use like Harry Potter as the name. So your character would be like Harriet Putter or Ron Sneasley. And
Mhm.
people would be then solving the mystery of like who killed, this magical person. And it was such a dream come true.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So how'd you build up, I should say, to the concept of throwing these massive parties?
Well, it kind of it happened actually back in 2019. I was at an event called SellerCon, that Amazing Selling Machine puts on, and I was speaking at that event, and I thought, like, hey, it might be cool to have a party here, and so I got a small suite, and I had about 40 people, I would say, but it was a big success, and so that was right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then right after the pandemic, there was Prosper Show, the big Amazon event, had its debut event in I should say after the pandemic debut event in July 2021. And so I got a bigger suite. First of all, everybody was so excited to be back in the world. It was like literally right after kind of they had realized that most people had been vaccinated. That's a fair time for everyone to get back out there. And so Vegas was hot. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like it was hopping. And so I had like a bigger party, and it was a big success. And my friend there at MGM at this point, we'd kind of gotten to know each other and became more friendly. I said at the end of the party, I said, "This was great. Here's the dates for next March. Like, I'd like to book it." And he's like, "Let me show you something." And he walked me down the hall to another suite at the very end of the hall, which was it was like walking into like something from Gone with the Wind with like a spiral staircase going up, and he was like, "This is the suite that they built for Barbara Streisand back when they built the MGM and she had a residency.
Wow.
So it was her private suite." And I was like, "Well, I want to rent it." He says, "You can't just rent this." He says, "I'm going to have to try to get it for you because the casino holds it for high rollers, and maybe they release it to me." So basically went through this process. Eventually, close before the next event, he said, "We got it," and we had an awesome party there. And then from that point on, that's what we did. But every year we had to go through this kind of song and dance to get the party to get it approved for there. And so, like I said, I've been building that relationship to the point where this year, my friend, he said what happened was, back in the fall, he said to them, he's like, "Look," he said, like, "I haven't asked for anything this entire year. Get me this suite for Goldstein in March." And they did. They gave it to him.
I love
So,
that. So now I am so curious. It might just be me or it might be the listeners as well. Is this something you just like add into your marketing budget as like a marketing expense? So like I'm going to cover everything and knowing that I can pick up some clients there versus making people like pay for a ticket.
yeah, well, I mean, it's shifted over time. Actually, I've typically had sponsors that
Mhm.
cover most of the expense.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it's worked out really well. Except the thing with sponsors is it comes with a price, in the sense that, so the phrase like either you're the customer or you're the product.
Sure.
So like in this case, um, all the different service providers that would be sponsoring the event, they want the potential customers there,
Yeah.
right? And so they really wanted to restrict who could be invited. Meanwhile, all of my friends in the space are the solution providers. And so so it kind of tied my hands with how to run the party. And until I just realized that there's so much value, like that people really love this party, that I could just charge for it. And
Okay, great.
so like this year, I didn't have sponsors. I just had it supported by ticket sales, and then I covered the rest.
I love that. What you do and I do is so different, but I had that hesitation around like having people invest in my birthday party as well, because it was like it's an experience. You're throwing it allowed me to get something bigger and more lavish and give people better time, but I had like a limiting belief around that too. So that's why I love to hear that you're like, no, like people want this, the value's there. So
I
you
do. I definitely had pushback from some people saying, "Why do I have to pay? Like we're good friends." What? I was like, "Well, why do I have to pay for you? Why do I have to pay for your party? I'm putting all this effort into throwing this event that everybody loves, and I'm giving you sushi from Marimoto. I'm giving you top shelf tequila like 1942 Clase Azul and all that,
yeah.
and like, whatever you pay for your ticket, I guarantee you it's less than the cost of you attending.
Yes.
So please buy a ticket."
I love that. That's awesome. So I would love to transition to talking about what you do on the IP side, especially around businesses getting ready to sell. So I'm excited for you to come to our event in Austin, June 6th through 8th. A lot of
Mhm.
our members in the room are at that 8-figure, 9-figure range. A lot of them have either sold or preparing to sell or looking to sell another business. So let's dive in there of like what they should be thinking about around IP and preparing to sell.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing with preparing to sell, first of all, is you need to start way earlier than you think. So I'm part of this exit planning community. There's something called the Exit Planning Institute that oversees this profession of exit planning advisors, and kind of they would typically tell you that you really want to start preparing for exit a few years before you sell.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, and they have a whole process for having someone prepare for exit, and usually it starts with what's called a triggering event, where essentially you're getting to see what the business would be worth today, what you might need for retirement after you exit, and then you get to see the gap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you also get to see like what the business could be worth if you dotted the I's and crossed the T's. So that's the incentive to have people really work on their business. And typically they do it for a few years before they actually sell, to maximize the value and to make sure that they're ready personally for the transition in terms of what they get paid, in terms of what their plans are for after the sale. So, in general, like there's a whole methodology about it. When it comes to IP, it's really about looking to see what you can do to maximize the the sustainability of the business and the transferability of the business. I think one of the biggest issues that people face when they're exiting, and that's from an IP standpoint, and it's from all standpoints, is a lack of transferability. And usually that comes in the form of that it relies on the owner too much, or just in whatever way that someone who buys the business can't just step in and begin operating because it's not totally transferable. So the overall name of the game is to make things as transferable as possible. And so when it comes to IP, then that means having the IP that gives them the right to make the products that they're making, or put another way, it makes it so that when someone steps into the business and they're selling these products, they know that they're able to effectively keep the competition at bay because of the IP that you have. And that's what helps make it more sustainable.
Yeah.
So it's like you might have you might have some momentum and have a certain amount of product sales or sales of your services. But if you have beyond that momentum some reason why the competition can't come in other words, you've built a moat, then that's going to bolster the value significantly.
Sure.
That could move the multiple up significantly.
I have a question around that. So, how would you coach someone, e-com store, but they are more frontward facing, so they do a lot of content and it's driving a lot of sales? How do you coach them to step away without really dipping into the sales?
Coach them to step away. Oh, so you're saying if you have someone who is the face of the brand?
Yeah, or not necessarily like they could be the face, or could they just be like one, like the top, like they're their own affiliate, right? So they could also just be like a top. I'm thinking of one member in our community in particular where the brand is not her, but she's the one that does all the organic marketing. So they constantly see her face associated with the brand, and it's a big driver of their sales.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a definite barrier to transferring the business.
Yeah,
So it's like any of those things that really rely directly on you as the business owner are going to be a hindrance to selling the business, and they're definitely going to affect the value.
yeah,
So anything that's concentrated like that. So another example is customer concentration. So you have too much of your business is maybe in the hands of 3 customers. That's a big red flag for someone
yeah.
acquiring the business. And there's another phrase in exit planning where they say that good exit planning strategy is just good business strategy. So the things you do to prepare your business for exit are also the things that you do to have a better business. So it's like recognizing that having a customer concentration issue is going to affect your ability to sell the business. If you tackle that now, that's also going to make it a more solid business.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the same thing with the transferability part. And it's like the extent to which the business relies on you solely, even though you've got a big team, that's unhealthy. That's unhealthy for the business. So you want to create a scalable business, you need to get yourself out of being the bottleneck.
Yeah, it makes sense. That actually answered one of the big questions I had. And the second one was on the customer acquisition side, especially on the e-com side. Is it looked down upon if most of their clients are just coming from like Meta, as an example? Do you recommend they start diversifying YouTube, email, affiliates?
Absolutely. Same thing. It's like if you're relying too much on one channel, then that's going to knock you significantly with value. If you could prove that you can get sales leads through all kinds of different sources, then it's not a red flag. It's not a big an issue for an acquirer.
That makes sense. Before the show, we were talking a little bit about IP around getting patents and thinking about selling. Can you walk someone through if they're thinking about getting a patent?
Yeah. And what aspect of getting?
I'm sorry. I realized I didn't finish my sentence. Around if they're thinking about selling, and you were talking earlier before we started about like, are they going to be able to get the money back from what they're going to spend on it? Like how to think through that process when they're preparing to sell.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and here's the thing. Most of the time, if it's a product that you've been selling for a while, it's probably too late to patent. Like in general, if you've had your product public for more than a year, then it's too late. It's just game over.
Interesting.
So the best time to patent would be before you launch. A lot of times businesses that are thinking towards exit in the future are thinking towards patenting their new products, the things that they're launching as they're running their business, the new products that they're launching, they might be able to patent. They're looking to build up an IP portfolio for the sake of exit at least. And but a lot of times, if you have something which has been your kind of main product for a long time, the ship has probably sailed toward getting a patent. But if you, but when you're at that point, it really pays to take a good look at what you have and see what can be leveraged, what can be maximized. So, a lot of times I do IP reviews for a company to look at what they're doing, look what they've achieved in terms of patents, trademarks, the type of products they have, the products they're planning to launch, so we can look for those opportunities to build some IP.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm excited because when we'll be in Austin together will be a lot of people at that stage. And so this is like a big thing that will be discussed. So it'll be really good for you to bestow your wisdom upon them, which would be
Awesome.
good.
I'm looking forward to it.
I would love for you to tell some people, actually, no, before we get into that part, we do something on the show, which is my favorite part. It's called One Hot Minute. Now, what 1 hot minute is if someone just listened to this clip, the 60-second clip, what piece of advice, knowledge, it could be a learning lesson, it could be related to IP and business, or it could just be like something personal that they're going to get like a big like golden nugget from.
Okay, let's see. So, I mean, in general, IP plays an important role in valuation, especially as you get to exit. And a lot of times it's too late to do the IP that would help you the most. So it really pays to have a good IP strategy from the beginning, where you do certain things in the beginning, and especially if you're bootstrapped, you do things which you can do that establish the initial seeds of IP that you need to establish. Then as the business grows, you do more. You expand the budget and you do more to build out your IP portfolio. So it's really something that you need to do from the beginning. It's kind of like building with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. And part of building with the end in mind includes IP strategy. Have a strategy from the beginning. And just two other quick notes on that is absolutely protect your brand names. So trademarks are relatively inexpensive compared to patents, of course. And so you absolutely need to protect your brand names with trademarks. And as you develop other products, then you can branch into patents. Remember that if you don't apply for a patent within 1 year of it being public, then it's absolutely too late. 99% of entrepreneurs don't know that, so don't let that be you.
That's a good note to end on. And for people that want to learn more about what you do and most importantly how you can help them, where should they go?
Okay, you can go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com. It's our website, and there's great resources on there for learning about the patent process. If you want to learn about how the patent process works in detail, I wrote the book for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. And you can get that on Amazon for like $20. And
is there any upcoming parties that they can buy a ticket to at conferences?
There is not, but yeah, I mean, all I would say is follow me on Instagram, and I always announce when the parties are going to be on my Instagram, which is just at Rich Goldstein.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
As we wrap up today's episode, we have something special just for you. If you've been inspired by what we've explored today and you're ready to take your learning to the next level, then our 4 Rooms Mastermind live event is the perfect next step. And because you're a part of our podcast family, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your registration when you apply and are accepted. This is your chance. It's your chance to build relationships with other ambitious entrepreneurs like yourself, to dive deeper into the 4 rooms of entrepreneurship, and to connect with experts who can truly help accelerate your growth. Simply follow the event link in the description of this episode and use the promo code 4rooms10. That's FOURROOMS10 on your application to claim this opportunity. This offer is subject to application approval and it's limited, so don't wait too long to make your decision. Join us and transform your journey with the insights and networking that only our live events can offer. Thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you at the event and, of course, right back here next time on the 4 Rooms podcast. Until then, keep balancing and keep growing.